I didn't do yoga, I would have broken every bone in my body. All right, so we're gonna do inversion prep. So we wanna have our block and we wanna have our stick. We're gonna take one block between our thighs, and we're gonna take the stick into our hands with the palms facing up. And the shoulders are right over the elbows and the wrists are in line with the elbows. The knees are underneath the hips and the toes are tucked under. And take a little bit of time to get a good grip on your toes. And then start with an angry kitty back. Let the whole back arch, push into the wrists, push into the forearms, push into the back of the hands, root the floor away. Let the head hang heavy. And then really find your angry kitty belly. So you're pulling your belly towards your back and you're sliding your belly up as if you're going to tuck it in underneath your rib cage. And you want to keep that angry kitty belly for the whole practice, okay? The other thing we want to keep for the whole practice is a straight line from the outer shoulder to the outer elbow. Yeah, so you're good. Perfect. And then you want to keep your outer elbow in line with your outer wrist. Your hand on this side can come a little bit wider. Yeah, it's that tight side. Nice. Now keeping that alignment, you're going to straighten out your back to a neutral back. So your back is straight, but you still keep that angry kitty belly. And then as we come into cow pose, you're going to keep that angry kitty belly. So the heart center is going to lift, the gaze is going to lift. It's almost like the sit bones lift, but you still keep pulling the belly in and up. Nice, Shelly. And then go back to a neutral back. Here's your shoulders, back of the neck totally long. And then go angry kitty, arch your back. Angry kitty, let the head hang heavy. Good. And then back into neutral spine, so straighten out your thoracic spine, but keep your angry kitty belly. And then back into cow, where you drop your sort of ribs, but you keep pulling your belly in and up. Nice. And then one more round, neutral back, angry kitty back, neutral back, cow back, and then neutral back. So the trick here, again, is to keep your joints stacked so the elbows don't go wide, and you want to keep the low back connected. So you don't want to go into a back bend at any point. As you inhale, you're going to slide the shoulders forward towards the wrist without the back changing, and as you exhale, you're going to take the shoulders back without the back changing. So as you pull the belly in, the pelvis stays neutral. Good, Shelly. So you want to really think lowest part of belly towards lowest part of back. You inhale to slide forward, and you exhale to slide back. Listen to your neck. There should be no tension. So if it feels tense, look less forward. So you can always look between your elbows. If it's easy peasy, you could lift up your knees. Start by lifting your knees just a little bit. And then see how it feels to go back and forth, checking with your shoulders. Make sure the elbows aren't moving. Make sure the wrists aren't coming to one another. And if it still feels good with a little bit of a knee bend, you can straighten out your legs. But if your low back then starts to arch and you lose your angry kitty belly, bring your knees back onto the ground. You want to keep your feet where they are so that you're working the shoulders. We inhale to come forward and we exhale to go back. Let's go back and forth 10 more times and then make our way into child's pose. And go a little less far back, just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So any child's pose you like. I find with inversions I like to have my hands behind my hips. Sometimes it's nice to grab a fist just to keep the lift in the shoulders. But we don't want to feel our knees at all in child's pose. So creeper is a good option, especially if our knees are sensitive. And with each inhale, feel the whole body expand. And with each exhale, feel the whole body gently contract. So inhale Inhale, body gently expanding. And exhale, body gently contracting. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And hands underneath the shoulders, nice inhale to come up. Coming back into your tabletop pincha prep position. So holding onto your stick, palms facing out, block between your thighs. Knees directly underneath the hips, elbows directly underneath the shoulders, and you're making 90-degree angles with your arms. Finding a nice straight back, so lowest part of belly towards lowest part of back, and really slide that lowest part of the belly up as if you were tucking it underneath your rib cage, floating ribs to one another and lifting away from the floor, but not to the point where you get angry kitty back. Fix your gaze and try not to move your gaze, but make sure your neck is very comfortable. If your neck is not comfortable, look less far forward, okay? And then really focus on your low back. Yeah, you want to really think lowest part of belly towards lowest part of back to keep that pelvis nice and solid. And then just lift your knees a little bit. Nice, just a little bit, and really keep the lowest part of belly towards the lowest part of back. And just slowly starting to lift the knees a little more if you're keeping the elbows and the shoulders in line and you're maintaining the belly. And nice and slow, you're just going to start to straighten out those legs. Try not to let the shoulders move back, but keep the shoulders right over the elbows if you can help it. Really think front thigh to back thigh, think calf towards shin, and if you want to go deeper, think level pelvis, so the hip bones are equal distance from the floor and you're really pulling in your belly, and then you can walk your feet very slowly towards your elbows as you lift your seat up towards the ceiling. Really move the calves towards the floor, really lift the thighs away from the floor, root the elbows and the forearms down. The shoulders popping forward a little bit. Bingo, right there. When you're done, you're going to make your way into child's pose and just hang out there. Holding this for as long as is comfortable for you and not worrying about what anybody else is doing. So I'm getting a little shortening on this side. Yeah, bingo. Time to do it again? No. And if you're still up, taking a few more breaths and then making your way down. Really finding your child's pose. With each inhale, feel the whole body expand. And with each exhale, feel the whole body gently contract. And being really honest with yourself, how did that feel in your body? Maybe that's enough for you. Maybe it's a better option to have your knees on the floor. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Once those 3 breaths are complete, hands underneath the shoulders, inhale to push yourselves up, back into the position with the stick, with the palms facing up. Hips over knees, elbows under shoulders. between thighs, except for Des, I think is going to do a leg lift. So it was easy peasy, no block between the thighs. But if it wasn't as easy, you may as well work those thighs with the block between it. Elbows underneath shoulders, wrists in line with elbows. Find that nice back, lowest part of belly towards lowest part of back. And remember, knees on the floor is a good option if that's what your body needs and wants today. Otherwise, slowly start to lift the knees, but keep the shape and the stability in the shoulders. Try to keep your gaze fixed. We're going to go right back into that dolphin pose. So taking your time, watching that you're not going into a back bend, but really pulling the belly towards your back and sliding it up. This has gotten a lot stronger. Good work. Front thigh to back thigh, lift the hips, walk the legs in. And then if it's easy peasy, like for Des, then one leg can come up without the pelvis changing at all. So the weight's going to be even in the elbows. The hip bones are going to be equal distance from the floor. Her pelvis is going to still remain completely level, and she's not dumping into the low back, and she's just going to lift one leg up. She's going to count the number of breaths that she holds that leg up in the air so that she can lift the other leg for the same amount of breaths. Remember, everybody's going at their own pace, and anytime you need to come down, coming down and resting. That's feeling good in the neck. Good. Might be a nice day just to let this go too, and just let it dangle. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. I'm going to do one more round too, so with the next round you might even just want to let it dangle. Both are good, right? But so, it's nice to play, especially if your neck's a little tweaky. Without the block there, you still think of that sensation of squeezing the block between the thighs, and that really helps to keep the pelvis level. Good. And then everybody eventually meets in child's pose. Making sure we don't feel our knees at all in our child's pose, and always making sure that our forehead is resting on the floor or on the block. It's being supported. As we inhale, we want to feel the whole body expanding. And as we exhale, we want to feel the whole body gently contracting. So as we move into the next stage of the pose, we can get rid of the stick if we like. We can do it with our palms down, which will be a little bit more challenging. But as we move into that stage, we want to make sure our elbows don't go wider than our shoulders and our hands come to one another. So if you find that that's happening, or if you're at risk of that happening, you're not used to this, then just keep using the stick until you can maintain it. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then when those 3 breaths are complete, hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to do this set without the block this time. So if you're doing it without the block, you can have your feet together, your knees together. So if you know you can keep the stability in the arms, then have the palms down. Otherwise, you can keep using the stick. So again, you can stay with your knees on the floor, or you can lift your knees, but you want to really think angry kitty belly. You want to really think neutral pelvis. So both hip bones are equal distance from both armpits. And both hip bones are equal distance from the floor, which means the pelvis is level. Then you're going to walk it in. Really think about karate chopping those wrists out, pushing the elbows down in all directions. Watch that we're not going into a back bend here, Chris, even if it means bending your knees a little bit. And then if you want to walk it in and go for a pincha, you can. One leg coming up, and you really think about squeezing the thighs. You really think about a block between the thighs. Fix your gaze on one point, and then you can come up. Nice. We always find that with a bent knee for one leg, an extended leg is the best way to learn to hold, but you got to really watch that pelvis, and you want to really think about squeezing a block between your thighs to keep the alignment. Making sure you rest whenever you need to rest. So you need to come back to a stick. You see why? Yeah. So for you, it's better to have a stick. Bingo. Yep. So yeah, better pelvis. Nice. Yep. So think thigh squeezing. Yep. There you go. Fix your gaze. Nice. There you go. We're going to play for another minute, but remember, child's pose is always a good option. Don't think about coming up to the more, okay?
No, just doing like this.
Yeah.
Not too much impact, I think.
Nice, Shelly. Now let the head dangle just for fun. And then I want you to think about this shoulder. Good. Your belly's looking awesome. Think about lifting your sit bones up. Bingo. You feel how that just creates a lot of length and space right here. Good. Your wrists are coming in a little bit, so you want to be really mindful of that. Yeah, so come down, take a rest. And then probably, this is a good option, right?
Maybe I should stay in front.
Yeah. So in this next one, really think neutral pelvis, think all the core. You know how you have to really fire up that pelvis when you do your core? I'm here, but you're not going to use me. Okay. Think front thigh to back thigh, think calf to shin. So this is coming back a little bit. So pull this femur in. Yeah. Bingo, you straightened out, good girl. Find those feet. You feel how it wants to twist, hey?
Yeah.
So the leg you're jumping up on, the hip wants to go back. So that's where you've got to really think about this being a vice. So again, you feel this arm is so much further forward than that arm.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's different.
It's really tighter here. Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? So Chris, watch those shoulders there in front of your elbows. Bingo. Now find your angry kitty belly. And so finishing up what you're doing, the next time you come into a child's pose, just stay in that child's pose, giving yourself a nice rest. Anytime we're coming up into pincha, we always make sure we come up evenly on both sides. Yeah, good. And you don't twist as much on this side. Think about the feet, think about the thighs squeezing. Good. And just staying here as long as you need. Really think about slowing down your heart rate. And when you're done, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders and coming up. But let's stay here for at least 10 more breaths.